Welcome to the Happiness and Success After Illinois Tech podcast with the Illinois Tech alumni. We're so happy you're here, and we can't wait for you to be inspired from all these real-life stories of people that attended Illinois Tech, graduated, and found success. No matter your major, your background, or where you're from, success and happiness are possible, and here are the stories to prove it. Welcome to this episode, everyone. My guest this week is Jim Muraida. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you, Julie.
Yeah, happy to have you here. So tell everyone what you studied at Illinois Tech and what degree you graduated with.
I graduated with a bachelor's of mechanical engineering. Sad to say, 1984, long time ago. It's been a while, and sometimes I go back to IIT, to go see the school or help out with different things, whether it's a science fair or what have you. Love what you guys did to do at the place with all the additions.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, it is. It's that's one thing I love about education is everything's always changing. The students, the curriculum, the ideas, the innovation. So it is very cool. When you were studying mechanical engineering at Illinois Tech, were you very sure that that's what you wanted to study, or did you switch it all while you were there? Or you're like, nope, this is what I'm going to get my degree in, and then I'm going to get a job?
No, I definitely wanted to be a mechanical engineer. What was intriguing about being a mechanical engineer, and I'm sure all the other disciplines have similar things. It's pretty diverse. You could be in solid mechanics, you could be in dynamics, you could be in materials, you can be in fluid, thermal, you name it. There's so many different aspects of it. I would say that I probably, and that's where, when we get into my journey, I could even talk about that, but probably the last thing I ever wanted to really do was thermal and fluids. I really wanted mechanical vibrations and solid mechanics, and I ended up working at a nuclear power plant, which is, one of the biggest plumbing stations, thermal stations ever, and I ended up making it my career and passion.
Interesting. How did you get into that aspect of it then? Did you have an internship? I know it was way different when we were in college. It was like, I was telling my sons, because I have one that's a senior at Illinois Tech and one that graduated there in 2019. Not only was it not very common to have an internship, but back in the day, it was never paid. It was like you were lucky, you got experience, and it was like a project. And now it's the opposite. Of course, you were getting paid for an internship and you're learning on the job, but you're getting paid, of course. Did you? Yeah, tell me.
Yeah. So actually, Julie, they may have had internships back then, but they also had the co-op program. So I was one of the co-op students, and I actually had a high school friend whose dad worked at Sargent Lundy. So I started learning about Sargent Lundy a little bit, what it's all about. Found out they were into nuclear power. I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. Let me think about this a little more. And I connected with Sarge on a campus visit, and I pursued them. They pursued me, and I did 3 years of co-op from 81 to 84.
Okay. Did they have career fairs when you were in school? Was that a common thing? I know for me it wasn't as common, but
it wasn't necessarily formalized single career fairs. Individual companies would come in, and the I can't remember what it was called, where the recruiters.
Yeah, bridge recruiting, we call it now. Yeah.
Okay. It was right across the street, right by the fraternities. That's where you would walk over there for your scheduled interview or your scheduled meet with whoever, because you sign up for them on a piece of paper on a bulletin board for companies that you'd be interested in talking to. And, the speed dating style of career fairs that goes on these days, that really didn't exist, but except for at times you might get 2 or 3 companies at one time. So
okay.
And the last one I did there, I believe, was General Dynamics in the second floor of Herman Hall. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's cool. Yeah. Okay. So you're at school, you meet the Sargent Lundy company, you do 3 co-ops with them. Is that the company you're still at?
It is, but
Okay,
and that's where I didn't always stay here.
Okay.
I have quite the circuitous path to where I got to today, um, to the point where I even left nuclear altogether to go design tennis rackets at Wilson Sporting Goods.
Okay.
Yeah,
Tell
yeah,
me
which
about
is
that. Tell me about that. It's never a straight path. Tell me about that circuitous path.
oh, so and one could say that I just didn't know what I wanted to do when I grew up, right? Because I always had in the back of my mind, I still wanted to do that solid mechanics thing. And I just happened to see an ad for a project engineer, and I was happy where I was at Sarge, but being that I played tennis at IIT and in high school, um, I thought being a racket designer might be kind of cool. It was in the north side of Chicago in River Grove, Illinois, right by O'Hare, Triton College. So I made my way up there, had an interview, got hired, and I suddenly was designing tennis rackets at Wilson. Doing finite element analysis and vibration analysis, and it was pretty cool. Which that piece of the job also, it's a little bit different. It's project team environment versus being in R&D is a very different world. And but it had a lot of cool perks to it. I went to the U.S. Open tennis tournament and talked about racket sports technology. This is back in 1990, 91 timeframe
Cool.
now. So I'm still pretty young in my career, only a few years out of school. Got to meet Michael Jordan, Chris Evert, got to meet some pretty interesting folks along the way.
So cool.
Got research. I did a lot of travel, to the Far East or to the Pacific Rim, to Japan, to Taiwan, to our vendors, our factories, to monitor racket production as it was going through their pilot stages. So yeah, it was very cool. But something then, quite the thing that I didn't really resonate with me was R&D. I wasn't real crazy about working by myself all the time. It just, I didn't feel like there was a team environment. Some people thrive in it. It just wasn't for me. I kept my ties with Sargent Lundy. Was just happened to be at a Sargent Lundy wedding. And they said, "Are you done having fun? You ready to come back?" And about that time, I said, "You know what? This was kind of fun to do for a couple of years. I don't see me doing this for my whole career. Yeah, I'm ready to come back." So then I went back. I went back to Sarge and started advancing my career there a bit, and was doing pretty well. I was on the road a lot. I was doing a lot of field engineering at several nuclear plants throughout the country. It just so happened about that time in 1994 timeframe, 93, 94. Exelon at that time was called Commonwealth Edison, gave me a call. And I've done lots of jobs with Commonwealth Edison at their nuclear facilities, and I knew a lot of people. They happened to be hiring a whole bunch of engineers. My family was young. This offered me the opportunity to be at home with my family as opposed to be a road warrior all the time. So that was now became one of my priorities. But the secondary was working at a utility at a nuclear plant. I could possibly get myself to the point of being noticed and possibly get myself into license training. So I could actually get a senior reactor operator license and physically run the reactor. In this case, it was Braidwood, which is down by Joliet, 2 units, pressurized water reactors. I went 2 years to license school, which is harder than college, harder than taking the PE exam, because it's a very different type of learning that engineers don't normally do. Engineers are learned by the books and maybe in the lab.
Yeah.
The lab for an operator is the simulator, and the simulator is a very humbling experience, especially to an engineer who might be introverted. So you better not be that, because all eyes are on you, and you're always under the microscope. Every switch you turn, every procedure step you make, is being watched. So it's very intimidating. very,
Yeah,
very
I
intimidating.
can imagine. I can imagine.
And
So, okay. So how did you get back? So now you're at ComEd, you get this license. How did you end up back at where you are
that's
now?
Sarge.
Yeah.
So I worked at Exelon for 18 years, got the license, and had my license for about, I don't know, 12, 13 years, 12 years. And I decided to make a lifestyle change. So it was more family related than anything. Uh, and I decided that I need to retire. I need to step away. The stress was pretty, as you could imagine, like flying an airplane, like a 747, driving a nuclear power plant. There's a lot of stress,
Imagine.
and I did it for many years. And I said I think I'm done with this now. And I always had in the back of my head that I would like to take this education that I got and teach the young engineers how a power plant really runs, and get their heads out of necessarily the books, especially the young engineers that come to Sarge, and teach them how a power plant operates. That kind of charges me, so it's kind of fun. And I've done a couple video classes that are part of our training curriculum now. um, yeah,
So you
I
said
just think
you're
that.
retired. You're not retired.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know what? That's the beauty of engineering. It's not. You can it can be physical, but it's definitely mental, and it's definitely exercises your brain, and you could do this for a long time. There are engineers here at this company that are 70 years old.
Awesome.
So folks work here in a dedicated fashion their whole career. I just happen to be impatient and like to go try different things, and I'm pretty happy I did it. And that's my journey.
And now you can share your wisdom. That's awesome. What's one thing you wish you'd known sooner when you were a student, young student, newly graduated, working? If you could go back and tell that your younger self something, what would it be?
I would definitely keep. I think I kind of honed in on the mechanical side a little too hard. The mechanical vibrations and solid mechanics. I didn't give thermal and fluids. I don't want to say a fair shake,
Yeah.
but sometimes it might be the subject matter, it might be the professor.
Yep.
I you know, give every opportunity that just that, and make it an opportunity. Don't shut anything down right off the bat, because I'll tell you what, I was not going to be. I never thought I was going to be doing thermal and fluids, and that's all I did. My career, and like I said before, it became my passion.
It's so funny because when I was in high school, we had one economics class. You had to take one to graduate high school. I took it. I think I got a D. I hated it. The teacher was very dry. I was like, I don't get it. That's what I thought. I get to college. I'm studying marketing in undergrad, and I had to take two economics classes to graduate with this degree. I took the first one. I basically got an A plus. I took the second one, A plus. And finally, my teacher says to me, well, you should major in economics. And my academic advisor at the time is like, you're doing so well, it's just a couple extra classes to double major in marketing and economics. And I was like,
Yeah,
how did this happen? I thought first of all, I didn't think I was very smart in economics. That was not the case at all. I actually liked it and I could relate to it. I had a great teacher in college, and he would relate to the students, and he would take examples that related to college age students. And it was a completely different scenario. He was a phenomenal teacher. I wrote him and told him that. I'm like, I wouldn't even, economics, I would have, that someone would have said that word. It would have felt like a dirty word to me after high school. But now here I am majoring in economics in college. It's just like you said, you never know where things are going to go. And sometimes it's your passion. Sometimes it's professor. Sometimes it's just the content or the place you are in your life at the time. And you just never know. And here I am. So I double majored in it, and I have a degree in economics, which is so funny. So I'm glad you brought that up. You just don't know. And I think too, when you're in college, you're really just heads down, get done with the classes, get to the next year, get to the next degree,
yeah,
whatever it is, hurry up and do well in the exams and then on to the next thing. And you're not really looking around at all the different opportunities. A lot of my guests say that they don't take advantage of the resources, the opportunities, or they are single focus, tunnel vision. And there's so many people around, professors, there's staff there, there's other students, older students, people on the, especially when you're an athlete there, because you're exposed to 2 or 3 years, 4 years of students. Some of the students are 23, 24 years old on some of those teams because they started later, right? And just all this wealth of knowledge and wisdom and experience that you're exposed to that you don't usually take advantage of. And people would go back and say, a lot of people go back and say the opportunities and things that were there that I just was not taking advantage of. And everything at that school, no matter what school you're at, everything is designed to help you graduate in 4 years with a great degree and get a job, because it makes everyone look good. You can
Exactly.
graduate and get a job right away, right? And I think it's lost on students a lot. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Just to add on that, 2 points, talking about student life, and yeah, you mentioned the tennis team. That's true. But I was also pretty involved I was in student government. I don't know what the social committee is, but, I used to do concerts, and I'm talking concerts of relatively well-known names at the time. Survivor, Eye of the Tiger.
Yeah,
They played at IIT at one time.
I didn't know
Um,
that.
yeah, oh yeah, I go back. Well, never mind.
Awesome.
I but I could. I was a president of the Residence Hall Association as well, so I tried to stay involved, study involved with the connect with students that aren't mechanical engineers. Used to go down to the bowling alley or the bog and hang out a little bit. I tried to enjoy. I was started out as a commuter student. I stayed on campus for 2.5 years. Then, when my parents were starting to get ill, I decided to go back home and finish out my last couple semesters at home. But I tell you, I loved every minute of it. I loved it there. Get involved, keep your eyes open. The second point is exactly to ring on what you said, is be aware of where the messages are coming from, whether it's a professor, whether it's a boss or a leader. And leaders can be leaders above, leaders can also be from below.
Agree.
So keep your ears open. I've gotten some of my best advice from peers, from leaders. Um, I had a shift manager that basically told me, get out of your comfort zone. You need to get out of your comfort zone. I thought I was already out of my comfort zone with the license and operating a nuclear reactor. No, I actually did. I went a heck of a lot further than, just being a senior reactor operator. I ended up running my own crew, which is right back there. So that was one of my crews I had. I promoted to senior manager of operations at Braidwood. So the skies can be the limit. Some people are afraid of taking on more responsibility. I kind of liked it. And, even to this day, I came back to Sarge, thinking I was just going to be this, semi-retired, just doing a job, right out the career. I went and, kept moving up here then, and now I'm a vice president here at Sarge, which I was never imagining was going to happen.
So
Oh,
funny.
that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's so funny. Yeah, I love your stories and I love your insight, because it's never a straight path. I've talked to a lot of people. It's never a straight path. It's never exactly what you think it's going to be. Sometimes you have to dream bigger. Sometimes, like you said, you have to get out of your comfort zone. But you don't regret it when you do that, when you take those risks, and like you've demonstrated, you can take the risk, get out of your comfort zone, and then decide it's not right for you, and then to go do something else, or learn from whatever you were doing. You're glad you got the experience, and then go back to something else you were doing before, or in another realm of that company. There's just so many possibilities, and that's why we do the podcast, because we want students to see what's possible, from every different aspect. So I really appreciate all your wisdom and insights. It's been really fun to talk to you.
I guess the last piece, the last couple pieces that were, call it advice, sage advice that I got. And I learned it quite a bit when I was going through license training. And, it was kind of like that itchy sweater, that you may not want to hear it, but it's good. Feedback is a gift. Take it for what it's worth. They are giving you something. Who's ever given the message to you, it's because they care about you. It's not to, belittle you or anything like that. So Feedback is a gift. And the last piece is don't be afraid to fail. A lot of people don't try things because they're afraid they're gonna fail. And it's like, if you do that, it's like jumping off a diving board. If you're too afraid to jump off that diving board, you'll never do it, right?
Okay.
So
Agree.
those would be the other pieces of advice I would give.
I heard a funny quote from George Clooney recently. I didn't see the interview, but I heard him say, someone was asking about his successes. And he said, I'd rather talk about my failures because that's where I've learned everything I know. It's from my failures.
There you go.
Just about, yeah, I loved it. I'm like, how insightful, so awesome. So how can people get a hold of you if they want to pick your brain or connect with you and just, be connected to a great alumni from Illinois Tech? What do you recommend?
Get a hold of me by email, get a hold of me on LinkedIn, James E. Muraida, that's Muraida at sargentlundy.com. And
Awesome.
I'll send you the info that you could attach the LinkedIn to it.
Awesome. Thank you, Jim. It's been really fun talking to you.
Great, Julie. It was great talking to you too. And
All right.
good luck, everybody. You're on a great journey. Regarding nuclear power, obviously, with the green environment we have today, I grew up, early 80s, was not a very bright time for nuclear power. 3 Mile Island just happened. A lot of plants were getting shut down. Careers were lost. I didn't know whether I'd even have a career in nuclear power. Now it's better than ever. We're hiring like crazy. If you haven't thought about which option, nuclear power is a pretty cool area to be in. So,
Awesome.
And there's a lot of, just like mechanical engineering, there's electrical engineers, there's structural engineers. We do it all. So,
Awesome.
Shameless plug for my company. We are hiring, so look us up.
All right. Thanks, Jim.
All right, Julie. You
Take care, everyone. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Check out the Illinois Tech Connect platform. It's the official networking site for Illinois Tech alumni. It's operated by Illinois Institute of Technology Alumni Association with help from Career Services. The aim of the platform is to connect our entire alumni community to provide a space for communication, networking, and other opportunities. Also, join the Illinois Tech Career Services group on LinkedIn and learn about all things career-related. And be sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Finally, as an alum, whenever you need career guidance or advice, you're always welcome to connect to the Career Services Department, make an appointment with a career coach, and take advantage of this lifelong resource available to all alumni. We can't wait to help you, and more importantly, we can't wait to see what you do.